Hi everyone, welcome to Technology World Hub. My name is Anil. In this session, we are going to discuss top 50 Selenium SDET interview questions and answers. In the last series, we discussed top 20 SDET interview questions and answers. I highly recommend whoever not attend that series, let's go back and see that series. Let's start this series. Top 50 Selenium SDET interview questions and answers. This is a comprehensive list of 50 plus Selenium SDET interview questions and answers covering Selenium WebDriver, Java, TestNG, frameworks, API testing, weights, locators, handling pop-ups, files, and real-world scenarios. I will organize them for easy reading. Section 1, we are going to cover Selenium basics, 1 to 10 questions. First question, what is Selenium? Selenium is an open source web automation framework used to test web applications across multiple browsers and languages like Java, Python, C#, Ruby. Components, WebDriver, IDE, Grid, RC. Difference between Selenium 3 and Selenium 4. Selenium 4 supports W3C standard WebDriver, improved grid, relative locators, and new browser dev tools. Selenium 3 relied on JSON-wire protocol. Advantages of Selenium. It is open source, cross-browser, multi-language, CI/CD integration, dynamic element handling. Limitations of Selenium. It cannot automate desktop apps, CAPTCHA or OTP. Requires programming skills. Next question. What are the Selenium components? Selenium IDE, record and playback, WebDriver, core automation, Selenium Grid, parallel execution, Selenium RC, legacy tool. Next question, what is Selenium Grid? It allows execution of tests on multiple machines or browsers in parallel. Components, hub, that is central server, and node, remote machine. What is a WebDriver? Selenium WebDriver directly controls the browser using native commands, which supports multiple languages and browsers. Difference between WebDriver and Selenium RC. Feature. With respect to architecture, RC is client server and WebDriver is direct browser. With respect to speed, RC is slower, WebDriver is faster. With respect to support dynamic elements, RC is limited and WebDriver is excellent. Next question. What browsers does Selenium support? Chrome, Firefox, Edge, IE, Safari, Opera. What is the difference between driver.get and driver.navigate.to? Get waits for page load, navigate.to supports back and forward history. In the next section, section 2, it will be locators and web elements. First question, what are locators in Selenium? ID, name, class, tag, link text, partial link text, XPath, CSS selector. These are the locators in Selenium. Difference between XPath and CSS selector. With respect to parent selection, XPath, yes. CSS, no. With respect to speed, XPath is slower, CSS is faster. Functions, XPath more powerful, CSS is less powerful. Next question, what is absolute versus relative XPath? Absolute XPath starts from root, that is /html/body. Relative XPath starts from /tag attribute is equal to value. Okay. Next question. How to handle dynamic elements? Use contains, starts with, ends with in XPath. Use explicit words. Next question. Difference between find element and find elements. Find elements returns single element, throws exception if not found. Find elements returns list, it is empty if none found. Next question. What is the difference between is displayed, is enabled and is selected? Is displayed checks if element visible. Is enabled checks if element can be interacted with. Is selected checks checkbox or radio selection. Next question. How to check if a checkbox is selected? Boolean selected is equal to driver.find element by.id checkbox dot is selected. So it should return true. Okay. How do you handle drop down in Selenium? Use select class for select elements. Select drop down is equal to new select driver.find element by.id drop down. Drop down dot select by visible text option 1. Okay. Here we can select by visible text, select by index or select by value. How to handle radio buttons? Locate the radio button and use click check with is selected. Okay. First locate the radio button, use click method and check with is selected whether it is selected or not. How do you handle links? Click get text with get text, navigate using get attribute of href. Okay. Next section, words and synchronization. Difference between implicit, explicit and fluent words. Implicit is a global word for all elements. Explicit word for specific condition on element. Fluent word with polling frequency and exception ignoring. What is explicit wait? WebDriver wait is equal to new WebDriver wait driver, comma duration dot of seconds 10. Wait dot until expected conditions dot visibility of element located by dot id username. Okay. Difference between thread dot sleep and waits. Thread dot sleep, hard wait possesses execution. Explicit or implicit wait, dynamic wait waits only as needed. Next question. How do you handle stale element reference exception? Relocate element, use explicit wait until element refreshed. Next question. How to wait for Ajax elements? Explicit wait on visibility of presence of element. Okay. Explicit wait on visibility or presence of element. For example, wait dot until expected conditions dot visibility of element located by dot id Ajax element. Next section, alerts, frames, windows. How to handle alerts in Selenium? So we need to switch alert is equal driver dot switch to dot alert dot accept, that is for OK, alert dot dismiss for cancel, alert dot get text for getting text, alert dot send keys of text, so prompt. How to handle multiple windows? Driver dot get window handle, it will return main window. Driver dot get window handles, it will return set of strings for all the windows. Then we'll iterate for string window colon all windows. If window dot equals main window not, that means if it is not main window, then driver dot switch to dot window window. Driver dot close, any action we can perform. Driver dot switch to dot window main window. Again we can come back to main window. How to handle frames? We need to switch to frame. Driver dot switch to dot frame of 0. Driver dot switch to dot default content. It will return to the parent window, parent frame. Next question. Basically, default content will return to the main frame. Difference between driver.close and driver.quit. Close closes as current browser window, quit closes as all browser window and ends session. How to handle pop-ups? Like alerts, switch to alert, switch to dot alert, window pop-ups, switch to dot window, file upload, send keys or robot class. Next section, advanced Selenium and frameworks. What is page object model? It's a design pattern where each page is represented by a class. It improves maintainability and reduces duplication. Next question, what is page factory? Selenium class that supports @find by annotations for easier element initialization. Next question, how do you handle file upload? Send keys for input type is equal to file. Robot class for OS level dialog. Next question, how do you handle file download? Set Chrome or Firefox profile preferences to auto download. Verify file exists in directory. How do you handle screenshots? File src is equal to text screenshot of driver dot get screenshot as output type dot file, file utils dot copy file, src new file, path / screenshot dot png. Next question, how to handle dynamic tables? Iterate rows and columns dynamically using XPath or CSS. Difference between assert and soft assert in TestNG. Assert stops execution. Soft assert, it doesn't stop execution. If assertion fails, still it will continue. Must call assert all. In case of assert, it is no. In case of soft assert, yes. That means if assert is fail, still it will continue. For other scenarios, I mean, if assert is fail for one scenario, in case of assert, it will stop. But in case of soft assert, if the assert is fail for one scenario, it will continue for other scenarios. How do you run tests in parallel? Use TestNG. Parallel is equal to test or Selenium grid. How do you integrate Selenium with, one second, how do you integrate Selenium with Maven and Jenkins? Maven, manage dependencies, run tests with MV and test. Jenkins, CI/CD pipeline, schedule execution, generate reports. What is fluent wait? Wait with polling interval and exception ignoring. For example, wait WebDriver wait is equal to new fluent wait driver dot with timeout duration dot of second 30 dot polling every duration dot of second 5 dot ignoring no such element exception dot class. Next section, Java and API related. Difference between equal to and dot equal to method in Java. Equal to compares memory or reference. Dot equal to compares object content. Next question. Difference between hash map and hash table. Hash map. Non-synchronized, allow null key or null values. Hash table. Synchronized, no null key or values. Next question. Difference between list, set and map. List, ordered, allows duplicates. Set, unordered, no duplicates. Map, key value pairs, no duplicate keys. How do you make Selenium tests data driven? Use TestNG @ data provider. Use Excel, CSV or database as input. Next question. What is API testing with REST assured in Selenium? REST API testing library in Java. Given content type .json .body payload when post slash endpoint then status code 200. How do you validate JSON response in a Next question. How do you validate JSON response in API testing? Use JSON path or Jackson or JSON library. String value is equal to response dot JSON path dot get string of data dot id. Okay. Basically use JSON path or Jackson or JSON library. Next question. Difference between put and post in API. Post, create a resource. Put, update a resource. Next question. How do you validate HTTP response code in REST assured? Response.then.status code 200. How to chain Selenium with API testing? Example, use API call to create test data, then validate via Selenium UI. Next question. How do you handle exceptions in Selenium? Common exceptions, no such element exception, stale element reference exception, timeout exception. Use try catch and explicit wait. Okay. So that's it for this series. I will come up with another series. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Please like it, subscribe it, share with your friends and family. Thank you so much, guys.